All right, let's talk training because if fat loss is the goal, then training is what shapes your body and gives you that toned look that you're chasing. All right. So, fat loss through diet alone might make you smaller, but it won't change your shape. That's where resistance training comes in. So, think of it like Spanx, okay? It pulls you in, lifts you up, smooths you out, but it's real and it lasts, okay? So, training helps build muscle, improves your posture, supports your joint health, and boosts your metabolism. So, what we're going to do is walk through what you need to know to get the most out of your workouts. So, first of all, weight selection and choosing the right weight. In week 1 of your training program, I want you to choose a load where the last few reps of your first set feel challenging. So, like you're definitely working, but not failing. Okay. If you hit the top of the rep range easily, it probably means it's too light. But if you can barely hit the bottom, then it's too heavy. All right. So you want the last few reps to feel tough. Basically, you shouldn't have a pretty face during those reps, but also I don't want you to go to failure. You should need your rest periods. All right. Now, warming up. No general warm up is actually needed, but I do have some optional dynamic mobility sequences in your app if you'd like to do them. Okay. You don't need to do these on just resistance training days either, by the way. You can just do them in front of the TV at nighttime if that's what you want to do. But before each exercise, I'd like you to do 2 warm-up sets at about 60 to 90% of your working weight, okay, to prepare your muscles and reinforce technique. Now, this will take some time to practice to figure out what actually 60 to 90% of your working weight is. It's part of the process. Enjoy the journey. You're going to learn how to train like a bro, but get great results in the process. So this leads me on to training intensity. If you're not training hard enough, you won't see the results that you want. Okay. So every set should get harder towards the end. So it's not, say you've programmed 3 sets, for example, it shouldn't be like the first set's kind of easy, the second set a little bit harder, the third set really hard. It should be first set really hard, second set really hard, third set really hard. Okay. If your last few reps aren't visibly slower or a little bit shaky, then you're probably not lifting heavy enough. Okay. There is a link here to somebody lifting really heavy. Okay, so you get the drift. Okay, so she's working really hard. Now, if you haven't lifted before, it might take a while, a few weeks at least, to kind of get to that point where you feel confident training with that intensity. That is also okay. All right, you go at your pace. This leads me on to progressive overload. So this is just a fancy way of saying doing more work over time. So it's increasing your reps or your weights each week. So it might look like doing 10 reps instead of 8. It might be using 10 kgs instead of 8 kgs, or it might be moving slower with better control. But what is really important is we want to have small increments and do more work basically week on week of the same training program. This is really the magic that is behind getting a toned, fit look. Okay. Rest between sets. So you will be programmed rest time, and there'll be a built-in timer within the app that you can press start now to time your rest, which I encourage you to do. Do not skip your rest. They are part of the plan and they're there for a reason, to allow recovery between sets so that you can actually lift with intensity but for each set. Okay, so in between sets you can walk, shake out your legs, or scroll, or have a chat, but use the timer and stick to the time. It is part of the prescription. Okay. Form and technique matter. So controlled movement over flinging weights. Okay. It is really important to make sure that you feel the muscle working. If you're unsure, please film yourself and send it to me. I do form checks all the time, because technique really is key to results and staying injury free. So we really are looking for quality over quantity. You're going to get better results from doing a movement lighter with better quality than doing more and heavier with poor form and technique. Now, how long to follow a program? So we're often told you've got to change it up, right? You've got to like shock your body. Actually, that's not true. Okay. We actually want to stick with the same program and the same movements for at least 6 weeks. It's not unusual to stick with the program for like 12 weeks. For variety, and because I know what we're like as women, I'm going to change them every 6 weeks, but they will repeat, okay? But more time doing the same program, more progress. So please trust the process here. If you have any sort of issues with the variety or the boredom or anything, please bring it up with me. But trust me now, believe me later. All right. Now, there will be some extra options within your training plan. Once a week, there's an optional metabolic circuit, which you can schedule in. It's designed to give you a hit of cardio and burn, but don't overdo it, okay? One session is plenty. HIIT can be great for women, but especially if it's used sparingly. Now, it might be that you want to substitute a boot camp or an F45 or something like that instead of your metabolic circuit, not a problem, okay? There's also an optional sprint session. So this can be done on a treadmill if you're comfortable with jumping your feet off at the side. It's not super safe if you're not like really confident with that, but a bike, a rower, a ski erg outside, hill sprints, but even skipping, jump lunges, that kind of thing can be counted as sprints as long as the intense bursts of effort with rest in between are at the intensity that they need to be. Okay. They're really fantastic sprints for fat loss, fitness, and insulin sensitivity. So our metabolic circuit, we're kind of operating at like 80 to 90% of our maximum heart rate. So it's pretty tough, right? Our sprints, we're like 90 to 100%. We're kind of going all out. Now, this may not be something that you're ready to tackle at the start or even at all, but basically have a chat to me about it if you're not sure. But they are optional and you can schedule them within the Trainerize app. Now, other activity counts too. So if you're playing a game of netball, going for a run, doing some sports, all awesome, okay? Either log them in the app or they might sync from your watch automatically if you want to schedule them in. If you've got like a weekly yoga session, the app will allow you to do that. All this information I need to know so that we can manage your training and recovery. Movement is always a win, but it is a fine balance between making sure that we do recover as well. Because ultimately, training is a skill. All right, you're not expected to be perfect straight away, but showing up, learning, and progressing week by week is how you will change your body and build confidence.